Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Sean Kanan about Cobra Kai Season 5, streaming worldwide on Netflix. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much, Sean.
Hey, brother. Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you. So I want to go way back a little bit. We're gonna go back in time a little bit. Maybe a year or two after Karate Kid 3 wraps up and everything. I'm sure you have some conversations about maybe, Mike Barnes returning, maybe for another movie or down the road or everything. But I'm just curious if you ever thought about him returning not as a villain, kind of like getting rid of all his teen angst and going on the other side and everything. Did that ever come to mind?
Yeah, I got to be really honest with you. Once I finished Karate Kid 3, I had no expectations of ever reprising the role.
Interesting.
They were, on to Karate Kid 4, which obviously I knew was not something that I was going to be a part of. I went on to doing a TV series called The Outsiders for Fox Television, which ironically, Ralph was in the film The Outsiders, so that was kind of
full circle moment.
Yeah, I felt like I was sort of stalking Ralph's career. No, it wasn't until I found out that Cobra Kai was a reality that I even started to give any thought at all to ever reprising the role.
It's pretty cool to kind of see, we're 5 seasons in and, Mike Barnes finally returns to the Cobra Kai universe. So many theories, so many kind of ideas, concepts online from all the amazing fans around the world. How did you deal with that season after season, seeing all those kind of theories about Barnes, when he would return? I mean, it was a lot to process. You had a lot of other things happening at the time too.
It was difficult because, I was literally bombarded with whether or not I was going to return. And I think it was hardest once I had filmed Cobra Kai and knew that I had to keep it under wraps for a year, because, as season 5 was about to come out, lots of people speculated I was in it, and it really turned up the intensity with people asking me whether or not I was a part of it. And I couldn't say. I mean, I think the saving grace that kept me sane was the fact that I was working on other projects. I think if I was a guy that was just sitting at home, waiting for the call, that would have been tough. But fortunately, I've been keeping the lights on.
I'm sure there was many kind of talks, but in terms of the official, Barnes is going to be returning, he's going to be in Cobra Kai. What were those conversations like with the big 3 specifically? What were those conversations like with John, Josh, and Hayden in terms of it's official, Barnes is going to be part of the storyline for season 5? What were those conversations like?
Well, it was pretty quick. I mean, when they told me, hey, we're ready to do this, I was like, I'm ready. Let's do it. We had a Zoom meeting, talked to the guys. Hayden wasn't there. He was doing something. So it was Josh and John. And, they were so gracious to give me their time. I mean, it's not the norm that the creators of an uber successful series, necessarily sit down with an actor and want to hear their opinions. So I was really humbled by that. I just said, hey guys, look, we're 30 some years down the road here. I have certainly developed both as a person and an actor. Presumably Mike Barnes has too. And I just don't want to play the character as that unidimensional bad guy.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to look for the moments when we can infuse some humor into the character too. And I think, to their credit, they kept their word and we were able to do all that.
And by the time this interview is out, season 5 will be out. I mean, I'm not going to go into big spoilers about what happens, but it's interesting because, Mike Barnes has moved on. He's grown and he might not be the bad guy we saw in Karate Kid 3. But I will say there are the moments, the classic Mike Barnes moments where he's a little rougher on the edges. He's very intense and everything. Was that fun, kind of balancing kind of new and old elements of Mike Barnes for Cobra Kai?
Absolutely. If we're not giving out spoilers here, I mean, it was fun because I felt that the material afforded me the opportunity to really play a well-rounded arc, showing a lot of different aspects of this guy's personality, how he's matured, how he's had some time to reflect on, who he was when he was 17, and to see that, when push comes to shove, the bad boy of karate still lives within him.
It's so great to see. Yeah, I can't wait for people to see it. It's tough, right? Because we know so much, and we're like, what do we say? What don't we?
Listen, it's as exciting for me as it is for you guys, because I've sat on this for a year. It was obviously something that we all worked really hard on. And my sincerest hope is that the fans who have been so unbelievably supportive of me, and I really am humbled by that, that they get what they want. I really, from the bottom of my heart, hope that the fans embrace the return of Mike Barnes.
Absolutely. It's pretty crazy because I talked at the beginning of the interview about all the theories of how like Barnes would be. And there's always those those theories of like, who's knows each other, like past characters that are related to Mike Barnes. My favorite one that I saw was, Jesse Cove, Martin's son, who you went on their podcast last year or the year before. He returns in the John Kreese flashback, right? As this varsity captain, David, this like bully. And there was like, someone was saying maybe that was Mike Barnes' father. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, there have been some really crazy speculations as to who Mike Barnes was. Everything from the very beginning that he's the television sales guy that Johnny's talking to on the phone.
I love that one.
Corey's father to Miguel's father to all sorts of stuff. And all I can say for people that haven't seen this yet is it ain't gonna be what you think it is.
No, it ain't for sure. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. That storyline is well done, but it's the credit to the writing, right? I mean, it's one of the things that's making the show. And sometimes I really don't know how they do it, how they elevate it season after season, but they do.
Yeah, they just constantly are thinking outside of the box and taking really fun risks. And I think as a writer, a producer, an actor, if you're not taking risks and pushing the envelope, then you become redundant, and that's where the slide into mediocrity and eventual death happens. So again, to the credit of the big three, they have kept this fresh, and I think season 5 is epic. Everybody, epic. The adults, so to speak, and the younger kids in the show, everybody does a terrific job. The
final episode of season 5, literally, like it's like you're watching a movie.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
It is nuts. But it's interesting too. A lot of your scenes in Karate Kid 3 were like action karate heavy. That was kind of the point of Mike Barnes, right? New student and everything. This one, again, we're not going to go to big spoilers, but there's the action stuff, but there's like the non-action stuff, which is one of my favorite things about Cobra Kai and everything. Did it feel like you were working on like 2 shows a little bit with the action and just kind of the actual like?
No, it felt like I was finally working on something that was a well-rounded character, the way it could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's interesting because there's some dialogue scenes where you're just talking to Johnny and talking to Ralph. But then there's actually the fight scenes. There were more fight scenes for Mike Barnes. Like there were some back and forth in Karate Kid 3, but you got there was some really cool, good acting in this season. Is what I'm trying to say,
right? Yeah, yeah. And I think here's the thing. I think that when the fight scenes are bookended with scenes that have emotional connection in them, and they're not just sort of, hey, it's a villain playing a cartoon bad guy, but I think the audience gets more invested in, and the fight scenes mean more. Now we see what the guy's fighting for. And Mike definitely has something that is a visceral why he's fighting. We actually care, we start to care a little about Mike Barnes.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot kind of happening throughout your career, the way the Cobra is a book that you wrote and everything. Did you kind of know at one point that you were going to kind of wear many hats and act and write? Like, did that kind of just happen, or was that premeditated? Like you knew that was going to be a thing?
No, it was a bit premeditated. I mean, I started producing in the early 90s. I produced a film that I wrote for Lionsgate called Chasing Holden, and some other films after that. And, I think that this is a really difficult business, and that it really pays to diversify. And I've had times in my career when maybe the acting isn't quite as hot as the writing is or the producing is. And, by being able to wear multiple hats, I guess ensure that I'm able to pay the bills. And still, equally as important, satisfy myself creatively. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's not just about making money. It's about, doing something that I love to do, which is entertaining and inspiring people. And, acting is one great conduit to do it, but, so is my writing and being able to produce some really great quality projects. We have our show, Studio City, which we got 16 Emmy nominations and won 3. And it all goes together. They all are sort of interconnected.
Do you think it will ever officially like sink in that Mike Barnes is back in Cobra Kai?
I don't know. I think it might sink in around Monday. You know what I mean? So, with the show coming out, I guess midnight in Los Angeles tomorrow, which is actually Friday morning.
Yep.
My guess is that 12 hours later, we're going to start hearing, because people will have finished it.
I think the thing that's crazy is everyone talks about the global component of Netflix, which is very true. Over 100 countries get to kind of see everything. It's insane. But the quickness is what blows my mind, like how quick it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm on The Bold and the Beautiful, which is syndicated in over 40 countries. And, at one point it was the most syndicated show in the world. And so I'm very used to having, having a presence in other markets.
Yeah, you can prepare a little bit for that, Maya. Absolutely.
Nothing compares to, the amazing reach that, I mean, if I told you how many people I hear from on a daily basis from Brazil or France or everything like that, it's incredible.
It is so amazing. And, season 5 is available on Netflix. They're going to be able to check that out. By the time this interview is out, it's out. So, chances are, people have probably already kind of seen it before watching this interview, because it's crazy how all the pre-recorded. But Sean, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. It was really great chatting with you.
Thanks, brother. Take care.
No problem. And there's social media that they could check out, right? And the books available.
Yes. Follow me on Instagram at Sean.Kanan, and I'm going to be doing an IG live Saturday the 10th at 12 p.m. Pacific time.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Sean Kanan, who you will see as Mike Barnes, returning for season 5 of Cobra Kai on Netflix, and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.